The human did not mean to cause trouble. He was tired. That was the simple truth. The banquet hall was larger than any city square he had ever seen. The ceiling curved like the inside of a planet, glowing with soft blue light. Alien symbols floated in the air, slowly turning, whispering in languages he did not understand. Hundreds of beings sat at long crystal tables. Some had claws, some had horns, some did not blink at all, and one human sat among them. He did not belong there. He knew that. He was only a minor envoy, a translator, a name written very low on a very long list. He had been told to sit at the far edge of the hall, close to the exit, near the service guards. But the walk was long. His legs hurt. His head still rang from the jump through space. So when he saw an empty seat, he stopped. It was close, quiet. No one was sitting there. The seat was beautiful. Black stone with red lines glowing softly along the arms. It looked old, important, but no sign warned him. No guard stopped him. So he sat today. The moment he did, the air changed. At first, he thought it was his imagination. Then the music slowed. The low, deep sound that filled the hall began to stretch, like something choking. Then it stopped. Complete silence fell over the banquet. Every alien in the hall froze. Hundreds of eyes turned toward the human. Some were wide with shock, some with fear, some with something worse. The human felt it then. The pressure, like the air had grown heavy. He swallowed and tried to stand. A sharp sound cut through the silence. A staff struck the floor. Once. Then again. From the far end of the hall, the great doors opened. Guards stepped aside as a tall figure walked in. The Princess of Blood. That was what they called her. She wore dark armor that seemed alive, shifting slowly like it was breathing. Her skin was pale silver. Her eyes were deep red, calm and cold. She walked with no hurry. Every step echoed. No one spoke. No one moved. She reached the center of the hall and stopped. Her gaze went directly to the human. The human's heart began to pound. He raised his hand slowly. "I'm sorry," he said. His voice sounded small in the vast hall. "I think there's been a mistake." She did not answer. She walked closer. The sound of her boots was the only thing anyone could hear. When she reached him, she stopped just behind his chair. The human felt her presence like a blade at his neck. Slowly, she placed one armored hand on his shoulder. The touch was light, but the entire hall reacted as if struck by lightning. Several nobles gasped. One alien near the front dropped to his knees. The princess leaned closer and spoke softly, her voice clear and calm. "By ancient law," she said, "the one who takes my seat chooses me." The words hit the hole like an explosion. The human's mind went blank. I didn't know," he said quickly. "I didn't mean." Her hand tightened slightly. "Intent does not matter," she replied. The guards around the hole dropped to one knee. The human looked around in panic. "What does that mean?" he asked. The princess moved around him, standing directly in front of his seat now. She looked down at him, studying his face. "It means," she said, "you are now bound to me." A low murmur spread through the room. "No human has ever. This breaks tradition." "She will kill him." The princess raised one finger. Silence returned instantly. She leaned down until her face was close to the human's. "You may not stand," she said. "Not until the claim is sealed." The human's legs trembled. He tried to laugh, but no sound came out. "I'm just a man," he said. "I don't belong here." Her red eyes searched him. "That," she said slowly, "is what makes this interesting." She straightened and turned to the hole. "Prepare the blood record," she commanded. An ancient device rose from the floor, glowing with old power. The human felt cold fear crawl up his spine. "This can't be real," he whispered. The princess looked back at him one last time. "You sat in the wrong seat," she said. Then, after a pause, she added quietly, "And now, the galaxy will remember your name." The device activated, and the hole held its breath. The ancient device glowed brighter. Thin red lines of light moved across its surface like living veins. Symbols formed and vanished, older than any empire still alive. The human sat very still. He felt every eye in the hole watching him, some with anger, some with fear, some with hunger. The Princess of Blood stood beside him, calm as stone. "Begin," she said. The device released a low sound, deep and slow. A needle of light rose from it and hovered in the air. The human's breath caught. "What is it doing?" he asked. The princess answered without looking at him. "It records truth," she said. "Blood, name, and bond." "I didn't agree to this," he said. She turned her head slightly. "The seed agreed for you." The needle moved closer to his hand. Before he could pull away, it touched his skin. There was no pain, just warmth. A single drop of red floated into the air and was pulled into the device. The symbols changed instantly. A sharp gasp spread through the hall. One of the elder nobles stepped forward. His voice shook. "Princess, this is madness. He is human." She finally looked at the noble. Her eyes were cold. "You speak," she said, as if I asked. The noble froze. The princess turned back to the device. "Continue." The machine hummed louder. The symbols burned brighter. Then it stopped. A clear tone echoed across the hall. "Bond acknowledged. Claim accepted." Silence followed. The princess removed a hand from the human's shoulder. "You may stand now," she said. His legs felt weak, but he stood slowly. Nothing happened. No guards attacked him. No blades cut him down. That scared him more than anything else. The princess faced the hall. "The claim is sealed," she announced. "By law older than this throne, the human is under my protection." Murmurs exploded. "This cannot be allowed." "She has never chosen. He is prey." The princess raised her hand again. Silence returned. She looked down at the human. "You will come with me." "Where?" he asked. "To where you now belong." Two guards stepped forward, massive and armored. They did not touch him, but their presence was enough to warn him not to run. As they walked through the hall, the human felt a weight of hatred and fear pressing against his back. He glanced at the princess. "You're really serious about this?" She did not answer. They passed through long corridors carved from dark stone. The lights were low. The air felt colder here. Finally, they entered a private chamber. The doors sealed behind them. The guards remained outside. For the first time, they were alone. The princess removed her helmet. Her face was sharp and beautiful in an alien way. Her red eyes watched him closely. "You are afraid," she said. "Yes," he replied honestly. "Good," she said. "Fear keeps you alive." He swallowed. "Why didn't you kill me?" She tilted her head slightly. "Do you believe I miss my targets?" "No," he said quickly. "Correct," she replied. "I have never missed." "Then why?" "Because I chose not to." The words hung between them. He took a slow breath. "I didn't choose you. I sat down because I was tired." Something like amusement flickered in her eyes. "Tired," she repeated. She stepped closer. "You crossed half the galaxy to sit among monsters," she said, "and your greatest weakness was fatigue." "That doesn't make me special," he said. She leaned in, close enough that he could feel her breath. "No," she agreed softly. "It makes you honest." He did not know what to say. She straightened. "You will not leave the palace," she continued. "If you attempt escape, I will hunt you." His heart jumped. "Is that a threat?" "It is a promise." He nodded slowly. "Fair." That made her pause. "You accept this easily," she said. "I don't," he replied. "But fighting you seems unwise." A faint smile touched her lips. "Wise," she said, "for a human." A sudden alarm sounded. The light shifted to deep red. The princess turned instantly alert. "Assassins," she said calmly. The doors shook. Blades cut through metal. Before the human could move, the princess stepped in front of him. The doors exploded inward. 3 shadowed figures rushed inside. The princess moved. Fast. Her blade appeared in her hand as if it had always been there. One strike. Another. The third attacker tried to flee. He did not get far. When it was over, the floor was silent. The human stared. "You didn't hesitate," he said. "They came for what is mine," she replied. She turned to him. "And that," She added, includes you. He felt a strange chill. Outside, alarms faded. The princess looked thoughtful. They will keep trying, she said. Your existence weakens old powers. I don't want to start a war, he said. She met his eyes. Too late, she replied. You already did, by sitting down. She stepped toward the door. Rest, she ordered. Tomorrow, the galaxy learns your name. The doors opened. She left. The human stood alone, realizing one simple truth. He had not been chosen by accident. And the deadliest princess in the galaxy was watching him now. The human woke before the light cycle began. He did not know why. There was no alarm, no sound, just a feeling that something was wrong. The chamber he had been given was large, carved from dark stone and glowing with soft red lines along the walls. It felt less like a room and more like the inside of a weapon. He sat up slowly. Outside the tall window, the capital world stretched endlessly. Towers of metal and crystal rose into the sky. Ships moved like silent predators between them. This was not a place for humans. A sharp knock echoed at the door. Before he could answer, it opened. 2 royal guards stood there. Their armor was heavy, their faces unreadable. You will come, one said. Come where? The human asked. The court. His stomach tightened. He followed them through long corridors. Servants and nobles stopped and stared as he passed. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. A few looked like they wanted him dead. Whispers followed him. That's a human. She claimed him. He won't survive the day. They entered a wide hall filled with alien nobles. This was not a banquet. There was no music, no food. This was judgment. The princess stood at the far end, seated on a black throne edged with red light. She wore her armor again, complete and perfect. Her eyes met his for a brief moment. Then she looked away. The human felt suddenly very alone. An elder noble stepped forward. His body was tall and thin, his skin dark like burned stone. This court recognizes a claim, the elder said. But recognition is not respect. Murmurs of agreement spread. The human must be tested, another noble said, to see if he is worthy to stand beside death itself. The human swallowed. What kind of test? He asked. The elder smiled. All kinds. The first test came quickly. They brought forward a prisoner, a small alien, shaking, chained at the wrists. Judge, the elder said. This one stole from the royal supply. The human looked at the prisoner's face. Fear filled their eyes. What is the punishment? The human asked. Execution, a noble replied casually. The human turned toward the princess. She watched him closely now. This is your choice, she said. Speak. He took a deep breath. Why did they steal? He asked. The court went quiet. No one had expected that. The elder hesitated. Hunger, he admitted. The human nodded. Then killing them solves nothing. Feed them. Make them work. Give them a chance. A sharp laugh echoed. Mercy is weakness, a noble said. The princess spoke calmly. Mercy is information. She looked at the elder. Release the prisoner. Shock rippled through the hall. The chains fell away. The small alien collapsed in tears. The princess turned back to the human. Continue. The next test was worse. They led him into a chamber filled with weapons. Blades, energy rifles, devices he did not recognize. Choose, a noble ordered. Defend yourself. A gate opened. 3 trained warriors entered. The human's heart pounded. He had no armor, no weapon. He raised his hands. I don't want to fight. The warriors attacked anyway. He ran. He dodged. He used the environment. He tipped over racks, slid across the floor, threw sand into eyes. He never struck to kill. When the guards finally stopped the test, all 3 warriors were down, alive, stunned, and breathing. The room fell silent. He did not kill, someone whispered. The princess stood slowly. He did not need to, she said. That night, the human was allowed to walk the inner gardens. Strange glowing plants surrounded him. The air smelled sharp and clean. For the first time, the princess joined him without guards. You embarrass them, she said. That wasn't my goal, he replied. You shame their beliefs, she corrected. He looked at her. Do you want me to be something I'm not? She considered this. No, she said at last. I want to understand what you are. A sudden explosion shattered the calm. The ground shook. Alarm screamed. Attack! A voice shouted. The princess moved instantly, pulling the human behind her. Enemy troops breached the outer wall. Chaos filled the gardens. Civilians screamed. The princess cut down attackers with terrifying speed. Then she saw it. A child frozen in fear. The human broke from her side. He ran toward the child. Come with me, he shouted. A blast hit the ground near him. He shielded the child with his own body. The princess saw it all. She destroyed the last attacker in a storm of steel. When it was over, the human knelt beside the shaking child. It's okay, he said softly. The princess approached slowly. You risked your life, she said, for someone not bound to me. He looked up. They're alive. That should be enough. She stared at him for a long moment. Something changed in her eyes. The court would never say it out loud. But that night, the deadliest princess in the galaxy realized something dangerous. The human was not weak. He was different, and different could change everything. The attack on the gardens was not random. The princess knew at the moment she stood among the broken stone and burning plants. Enemy soldiers did not reach this deep by accident. Someone had opened a door for them. By morning, the palace was sealed. Ships filled the sky. Defense towers turned slowly, scanning space. The capital world felt like it was holding its breath. The human was moved again, this time to a guarded chamber near the throne hall. Guards stood at every door. None of them spoke to him. That worried him more than threats. Hours later, the princess summoned the High Council. The humans stood beside her throne as nobles gathered. Their faces were tense, angry, afraid. An elder stepped forward. We have confirmation, the elder said. The Car Dominion claims responsibility. A low growl moved through the room. They demand the human be handed over, another noble said. Alive or dead? The human felt his chest tighten. For what crime? He asked. The hall went quiet. The princess looked down at him. For existing, she said. The elder continued. They call the bond an insult. They say a human bound to you weakens a bloodline. They threaten war, another added. The princess rose slowly from her throne. Let them come, she said. The room erupted. Our fleets are strong, one noble argued, but war will burn systems. Millions will die. The human stepped forward before he could stop himself. What if I go to them? He asked. Every head turned. The princess's eyes snapped to him. No, I can speak, he said. They want me, not the planet. They will kill you, she said flatly. Maybe, he replied, but maybe not. The council erupted again. This is foolish. He is bait. He is prey. The princess slammed her blade into the floor. The sound cracked the stone. Silence fell. She faced a human. You are under my protection, she said. You do not offer yourself like currency. He met her gaze. Where I come from, he said, leaders protect their people, even if it costs them. Her jaw tightened. You are not expendable, she said. I am human, he replied softly. We've survived worse odds than this. The princess looked away. For the first time, she did not answer immediately. The council waited. At last, she spoke. One ship, she said. No weapons. I go with him. Shock rippled through the room. That would risk you. I decide the risk, she said. The human looked at her. You don't have to. I know, she replied. That is why I will. The journey was silent. The human stood at the viewing window as stars stretched into lines. His hand shook slightly. The princess watched him from across the chamber. You are afraid, she said. Yes, he answered. She nodded. Good. So am I. They arrived at the edge of car space. A massive enemy vessel waited for them, dark and sharp, like a blade aimed at the stars. They were escorted inside. The enemy council chamber was colder than the palace. Harsh light, hard angles. The car leader stood tall, armored and cruel-eyed. "So," he said, "the human arrives with his executioner." The princess did not react. The human stepped forward. "I came willingly," he said. "This war ends here." The car leader laughed. "You think words matter?" "They always do," the human replied. The leader sneered. "You sit in a seat you did not own." The human nodded. "True, but I stayed." That gave the leader pause. "You want me dead," the human continued. "Fine, but war will not make you stronger. It will only show the galaxy your fear." The car leader leaned closer. "Fear of what?" "Of change," the human said. "Of a future where power is shared." The room grew tense. "You are nothing," the leader said. The human met his gaze. "I am human," he replied, "and we adapt." He tapped the console beside him. Data flooded the air. Supply lines, secret alliances, hidden betrayals. The car leader's face darkened. "You were already losing," the human said calmly. "Your war was a bluff." Silence. The princess watched closely. "You can kill me," the human said, "or you can walk away and keep your empire." The car leader stared at the data, at the human, at the princess. Finally, he stepped back. "Leave," he said. "This bond, we will not challenge it." The human exhaled slowly. The princess did not move. "You chose wisely," she said coldly. As they returned to their ship, the human's legs nearly gave out. He laughed weakly. "I thought I was dead." She studied him. "You walked into the mouth of war," she said, "unarmed." He shrugged. "Someone had to." The ship jumped to light. The princess stood beside him, watching the stars. "You are dangerous," she said quietly. He smiled faintly. "So are you." She looked at him then, truly looked. The galaxy had wanted him dead. Instead, it had learned something else. Humans did not rule by fear. They survived by courage. And that scared the galaxy far more. The return to the capital world did not feel like a victory. The skies were calm. The fleets held position. No alarms sounded. And yet, everything had changed. When the princess and the human stepped from their ship, the dock was silent. Soldiers stood in long lines. Nobles watched from balconies above. No one cheered. They only stared. The human felt it at once. They were not looking at him with hate anymore. They were looking at him with uncertainty. The princess walked beside him, her posture strong, her face unreadable. But inside, something was unsettled. Word spread fast. The Car Dominion had withdrawn. No battle, no blood, no conquest, just a human, standing alone. The High Council gathered again that same day. This time, the human was not placed at the side of the room. A seat waited beside the princess's throne. He hesitated. The princess looked at him. "Sit," she said. He did. The elder who once challenged him stepped forward. "You face an empire," the elder said, "without armor, without threat." The human nodded. "Yes." "Why?" another noble asked. "Why risk everything for a people not your own?" The human thought carefully. "Because they would have paid the price," he said. "Not me." A ripple of quiet moved through the chamber. "You are not trained for war," the elder said. "No," the human agreed, "but I know what war takes." The princess watched him closely. The elder lowered his head slightly. "Not a bow, but close. The council recognizes your action," he said, "but recognition is not trust." The human met his gaze. "I'm not asking for trust." That answer unsettled them. Days passed. The human walked the palace freely now. Guards still followed, but from a distance. Servants no longer avoided his eyes. Some even bowed. In the lower districts, stories spread. The human who stopped a war. The human who shielded a child. The human who spoke instead of killing. Not all listened. A group of nobles met in secret. "This bond weakens us," one said. "She hesitates." "Because of him," another replied. "We must test him again," a third said. "One final time." They chose the oldest test, the trial of stillness. The human was brought to an open platform high above the city. No rails, no guards, only sky below. The princess stood behind him. "This test kills most who face it," she said. "What do I have to do?" he asked. "Nothing," she replied. "That is the test." The wind rose. Voices echoed from the platform. Insults, threats, memories pulled from his past, projected by ancient tech. Failure, loss, fear. His knees shook. He thought of Earth, of quiet mornings, of simple things. He stayed still. Hours passed. At last, the voices faded. The elders looked uneasy. "He did not break," one whispered. The princess stepped forward. "That ends it," she said. "There will be no more tests." That night, she visited him again. Not as a ruler, as herself. "You stood when others would fall," she said. "I almost didn't," he admitted. She studied him. "Why did you stay?" He looked at the stars beyond the window. "Because running would mean fear won," he said. She nodded slowly. "I was raised to believe fear was a weapon," she said. "You treat it as a warning." He smiled faintly. "We listen to it. Then we choose anyway." Silence followed. For the first time, she removed her armor fully in his presence. The metal folded away like living skin. "That is not done lightly," she said. "I know," he replied. Across the galaxy, reactions came fast. Some worlds praised the bond. Others feared it. A few prepared weapons in secret. Human diplomats began to arrive. They did not demand power. They offered cooperation. That confused everyone. One night, as the city slept, an emergency signal reached the palace. A neutral colony was under attack by raiders. The council hesitated. "It is not our concern," a noble said. The human stood. "Then it becomes one," he said. The princess looked at him. "Why?" she asked. "Because someone will suffer if we don't," he answered. She rose from her throne. "Prepare the fleet," she ordered. The noble gasped. "For a neutral world." "For people," she corrected. As ships launched, the human stood beside her. "You are changing us," she said quietly. He shook his head. "You are already changing. I just noticed." She considered that. Far below, engines lit the sky. The galaxy watched. The human who once sat in the wrong seat now stood at the center of history, not as a conqueror, not as a king, but as proof of something dangerous. That power did not always come from fear. Sometimes. It came from standing still. When the whole galaxy wanted you to kneel, the fleet returned from the neutral colony without loss. The raiders were gone before the first shot was fired. When they learned who was coming, they ran. That alone shook the galaxy, not because of the princess, but because the order had come after one human spoke. Inside the palace, silence followed. The princess stood alone in the war chamber, staring at the star map. Red and blue lights marked power and threat. For the first time in her life, she felt unsure. She had been trained to strike first, to rule through fear, to never hesitate. And yet, she had, because of him. The human entered quietly. "You wanted to see me?" he asked. She did not turn. "Yes." He waited. "I was raised for war," she said at last. "Before I could read, I could kill." He said nothing. "They taught me love was weakness," she continued. "Attachment was failure. Mercy was betrayal." She turned then, facing him. "And yet when I thought you might die in car space, I felt fear." Her voice did not shake, but her hands did. "That fear made me hesitate," she said. "That hesitation could one day cost lives." The human stepped closer. "Or it could save them." She searched his face. "You do not fear that?" she asked. "Loving something that can be taken from you." He nodded slowly. "I fear it every day." "Then why accept it?" "Because a life without that risk isn't really living," he replied. The princess looked away. That night, the ancient council issued a challenge. A message arrived, sealed with blood code, the right of severance, an old law, one no ruler had faced in centuries. The princess was summoned to the great arena. At dawn, the human stood beside her as the message faded. "What does it mean?" he asked. She was quiet for a long time. "It means," she said finally, "they will force me to choose." The arena was vast, open to the sky. Stone seats rose like cliffs around the central floor. Nobles filled them, silent and tense. The human stood at the edge of the platform. He was not allowed to step closer. The princess entered alone. The elder spoke loudly. "The right demands clarity," he said. "The ruler must stand unburdened." A blade rose from the floor, ancient and dark. "To lead," the elder continued, "she must sever the bond that weakens her." The human's chest tightened. "Oh," the elder added, "prove that a bond strengthens a throne." The princess approached the blade. She stopped. Her eyes searched the crowd, then found the human. "You were never meant to be here," she said to him, her voice carrying across the arena. "I know," he answered. "You changed everything," she said. "I didn't mean to," he replied. A faint smile touched her lips. "I did." She turned to the council. "This bond does not weaken me," she said. "It shows me what I fight for." The elder's voice hardened. "Then prove it." The blade activated. A projection filled the arena. A future of war. Endless battles. Systems burning. The princess saw herself standing alone on a throne of ash. Powerful. Victorious. Empty. Then the vision shifted. Another future. She stood beside the human. The empire was smaller. Less feared. But alive. Connected. The crowd murmured. The princess stepped back from a blade. "I refuse the severance," she said. Gasps erupted. "That breaks law," someone shouted. "Yes," she replied calmly. "It does." She removed her armor piece by piece. The sound echoed across the arena. Gasps turned to shock. Removing armor here meant surrendering absolute authority. She walked to the human. Guards moved, then stopped. She placed a blade at his feet. "I choose this bond," she said, "not as a weapon, but as a promise." Silence crushed the arena. Then, slowly, someone knelt. Then another. Then hundreds. The elder's voice was quiet now. "The rite is complete," he said. "The throne remains." The princess took the human's hands. Her voice was low. Only he could hear it. "I was a deadliest because I had nothing to lose," she said. "And now?" he asked. "Now," she replied, "I am deadlier because I choose to protect." Across the galaxy, the message spread. The princess broke ancient law, and the empire did not fall. It changed. That night, the princess stood at the balcony, looking at the city lights. The human joined her. "You gave up power," he said. She shook her head. "I change how I use it." She looked at him. "I do not know what comes next," she admitted. He smiled gently. "Neither do I." She leaned closer. "That frightens me," she said. "Good," he replied. "Means it matters." Below them, the capital slept. Above them, the stars waited. The deadliest princess in the galaxy had fallen, not to an enemy, not to a blade, but to something far more dangerous. Hope. The galaxy did not fall apart after the princess broke the ancient law. That surprised everyone. There was no civil war, no collapse of power, no flood of enemies rushing in to test weakness. Instead, something quieter happened. The empire breathed. Across star systems, governors waited for chaos. Fleets stayed alert. Spies watched for signs of rebellion. None came, because the princess still stood. But she stood differently now. She no longer ruled from fear alone. The human noticed it first in small things. Orders were shorter, clearer, less cruel. Prison worlds became work colonies. Executions became trials. Silence became discussion. Not mercy everywhere, but balance. The High Council met one final time. The human stood beside the princess, not behind her. An elder spoke. His voice carried less pride than before. "The galaxy watches us," he said. "They wait to see if this bond is weakness or strength." The princess looked at the human. "Then let them see," she said. A ceremony was announced. Not a conquest, not a coronation, a union. The capital world filled with visitors from dozens of species. Ships lined the sky like stars frozen in place. The seat at the center table, the one that started everything, stood empty until the human approached it. He stopped. For a moment, memory returned. The silence, the fear, the mistake. The princess stood beside him. "This time," she said softly, "you may choose." He looked at the seat, then at her. He sat today, and she sat with him. No alarm sounded. No weapons moved. Instead, the hall filled with light. The elder announced it clearly. "Let history record this," he said, "not as a claim of blood, but as a bond of will." Across the galaxy, screens carried the image, the deadliest princess, the human who sat in the wrong seat. Together, after the ceremony, they stood alone on the high balcony, watching ships depart. "You could have ruled alone," the human said. "I did," she replied, "and it was empty." He nodded. "You changed me," she said. He shook his head. "You allowed change." That mattered. Years passed. Slowly. Peace did not come easily. Some worlds resisted. Some tested limits. Some tried to pull the empire back into old ways. But something had shifted. When conflict came, humans were sent first, not as soldiers, but as speakers, negotiators, builders, listeners. The galaxy learned something uncomfortable. Humans were not the strongest, not the fastest, not the deadliest, but they endured. They adapted. They stood in impossible places and refused to move. Statues were built, not of battles, but of moments. A human shielding a child. A human standing unarmed before a war council. A human sitting where he did not belong. The princess still wore her armor, but not always. Sometimes she walked the gardens with a human, unguarded. "Do you regret it?" she asked once. He thought for a long moment. "No," he said. "Do you?" She looked at the stars. "I regret the years I ruled without knowing this was possible." She reached for his hand. That gesture, simple, human, was recorded more times than any battle in history. One evening, the human returned alone to the banquet hall. The seat waited, unchanged. He ran his hand along its edge. "So much trouble," he said quietly. The princess joined him. "That seat," she said, "was never cursed." "No," he asked. "It was a test," she replied. "One no one else dared to fail." He smiled. "Good thing I was tired." She laughed. The sound echoed through the hall. And somewhere far away, a young species heard the story for the first time. A story not about conquest, not about fear, but about a single mistake that became a choice that changed the galaxy. Because one human sat in the wrong seat and refused to stand up.